And welcome back, everyone, to this special edition of RFL. And tonight, for the entire program, we pay tribute to the servicemen and women in our region who've lost their lives serving in the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And with me now to share perspectives on what the day means is Lieutenant Colonel Mark Rosen, and a man who's given 28 years of service to the military, 15 of those years in active duty, including time in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. He served under General David Petraeus and has been an advisor at the Pentagon, as well as a professor at West Point, currently a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good to be here, Richard.
What we're trying this hour is to just give a perspective, because for a lot of people, especially in these modern conflicts where the draft isn't around, people don't know someone on their block who served, let alone who didn't come back. Right. Give it from a perspective who gave a lot of, if not most of their adult life here to the military, what Memorial Day means and the significance of it to you.
Well, you're probably asking the wrong person, because I get teary-eyed just singing the national anthem. And when, everyone's seen Saving Private Ryan. At the end of Saving Private Ryan, if you don't get teary-eyed, then there's something wrong there. And they asked the man, he asked his wife, did I lead a good life? Am I a good man? And that to me is really the defining moment. And those of us who've served and had the opportunity to serve in the military can step back and say, we served with pride. But to some extent, and on Memorial Day, I feel this, a little bit of guilt. And a lot of us don't share that feeling. Because I'm a reservist, I've been out in the private sector, and I always think I could have done more. There are people out there that are serving 3, 4, 5 tours right now. There are people who will never come home. And you think about that on Memorial Day. You think about World War II. Over 400,000 people died, Americans, far more than that. And you just say, wow. And you say, this is about preserving democracy, freedom, our ideals. And it's those moments when the service combined with that little tinge of, I can do more. How can I do more? And I think back to that moment with Private Ryan is, am I a good man? Did I lead a good life? So we all have more to do, and I think about those gravestones and the many people, men and women, who died, and think, we really owe it to them to make the ideals of our nation be a success going forward for our next generation. That's what it means to me.
You know, you mentioned that movie and even that scene at the end. And one of the greatest privileges I've had were 6 veterans of that were at Normandy Beach, at Utah, at Omaha, and that we went back with them. And at the end of our trip, we went to that cemetery with those asymmetrical crosses and stars of David in the most manicured lawn you'll ever see. And they went from guys in their late 70s and 80s to 18-year-olds. And they traced with their finger over the names of guys that they served with who didn't come back. And to a person, they went back to that day. Mm-hmm. And they always, and it was so much of what you said. They were, one of the biggest accomplishments of their life was the pride they took in their service for country, but also that guilt. And for somebody outside, you say, well, how could you feel guilty? You did everything you could. But they felt that guilt that their brothers in arms didn't come back and they did. Right. That's part of service, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, we in the private sector, we oftentimes lead a good life, but I always go back to the times that I really felt really good about what I was doing and about myself. And I think back in my very first platoon, a rifle platoon, 82nd Airborne, jumping out of perfectly good airplanes, and I see the faces, all the young men that I was working with in the 82nd Airborne. And that, to me, 28 years later, and I think I can see their faces. They all serve with pride. Some of them are not with us today. And the same elderly gentleman that you were with on Omaha Beach can see their faces. They remember the moment when they were in that with those young people in platoon, some of them who did not make it back. Absolutely, it sticks in there. And you always say, how can I get back to that? How can I serve again and contribute? Because I'm still on this earth and I still can do that. I can still, the valor of these folk should not be in vain. We owe it to them.
Do you take a moment on this day every year and just remember some names for yourself and have either an extra prayer or an extra second where you'll give a special consideration for obviously people who, as we said, couldn't give any more to this country?
I do. You know, I have a vivid memory of a platoon sergeant who's no longer with us. And, you know, God bless you. And thank you for your service. And I wish I could live up to your standards and emulate that.
You know, finally, for folks watching at home right now, that, you know, hopefully they enjoyed the Memorial Day, and it's not a day to make Americans certainly you have a collective guilt here, but I think we've done better than a generation ago when those poor guys came back from Vietnam and weren't treated with the respect that hopefully these soldiers have been, both the living, but for those families who will never be whole again after loss today, if people are a little bit hesitant about saying something, families appreciate it when their loved ones that were lost are remembered, aren't they?
Hold their hand, say thank you. Our hearts go out to you. And just remember that it was important for our nation and our future. Thank you. That's what you have to say.
Well, thank you for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.